The wind howled across the open plains that night. The moon hung pale over the still waters of Clearwater Lake, its surface trembling beneath the chill. Rancher Caleb Ward had been out since sunset, searching for a stray horse that broke through the fence. His lantern swung in the wind, throwing long, uneasy shadows over the grass. He was about to turn back when he heard it, a faint voice carried on the breeze. "Help!" He froze. The voice came again, weaker this time. "Please help." Caleb dismounted, his boots crunching softly on the frozen dirt. He followed the sound toward the lake, his heart beating hard. By the water's edge he found her, a young Apache woman, drenched, trembling, wrapped in nothing but a torn blanket she'd pulled from the reeds. Her lips were blue from the cold. When his lantern light touched her face, he saw fear, deep, raw fear mixed with exhaustion. He knelt beside her. "Easy now, you're safe, miss." She flinched at his touch, trying to move away. "No, don't, please." He stepped back, hands raised. "It's all right, I ain't here to hurt you. I'm a rancher, Caleb Ward. You're hurt, you need warmth." For a moment she just stared, then whispered, They chased me. I ran into the water." Caleb's jaw tightened. "Who did?" "Men from town," her voice cracked. "Said I had no right to be here. They tore my clothes, laughed." Her words trailed off into sobs. Caleb looked at her shaking hands and the bruises on her wrists. Anger burned in his chest. He shrugged off his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "You ain't alone now," he said firmly. "Come on, my cabin's closed. You'll warm up there." She tried to stand, but her legs gave way. Caleb caught her gently and lifted her into his arms. She was light, far too light. As he rode back through the dark, he could feel her trembling against him, whispering words in Apache that he didn't understand, but he didn't need to. He could hear the pain in every syllable. At the cabin, he built a fire fast, the room filled with orange light and the smell of pinewood smoke. He handed her a dry shirt and a blanket. "You can change behind the curtain. I'll wait outside." When he came back in, she sat by the fire, eyes half closed, steam rising from her wet hair. "Thank you," she murmured. "You didn't have to help me." Caleb poured her hot tea. "Yeah, I did. Nobody deserves to be left out there like that." She hesitated. "My name's Nayara." He smiled softly. "That's a strong name." They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled between them. Outside, coyotes cried in the distance. Nayara stared into the flames. "They took everything. My father's horse, my mother's necklace. They said Apache don't belong near the white man's town." Caleb's hands tightened around his cup. "You do now. You belong right here until you're ready to move on. No one's gonna touch you again, not while I'm breathing." Days passed. The bruises on her face faded. She started helping around the ranch, brushing the horses, fixing saddles, even mending Caleb's torn shirts. She hardly spoke, but when she did, her voice was soft and sure. She told stories about the old ways of eagles, rivers, and spirits that guarded the mountains. Caleb listened, fascinated. One evening, as the sun bled red across the sky, he found her sitting by the lake again. "You shouldn't be out here after dark," he said, smiling gently. "I'm not afraid anymore," she replied. "This place used to make me shake. Now it reminds me I lived." Caleb nodded slowly. "You're stronger than anyone I've ever met." She turned to him. "You don't look at me with pity." "I see someone who survived," he said simply. Weeks turned into months. Word of an Apache girl hiding with a rancher spread through town. Some men came riding, armed and mean, demanding that Caleb hand her over. He met them at the gate, shotgun in hand. "She's under my protection," he said coldly. "If you think you're taking her, you'll have to come through me." The men saw the fire in his eyes and left. When Caleb returned inside, Nayara was crying. "You could have been killed," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Then I'd have died doing something right." That night she sat by the fire and asked softly, "Why did you help me that night?" He looked at her, eyes full of quiet sadness. "'Cause once, years ago, someone helped me too, when I thought my life was over. You remind me of that second chance." She reached for his hand. "Then maybe I was meant to find you." Spring came to the valley. The wildflowers bloomed across the hills, and the ranch grew busier than ever. Nayara rode again, her laughter echoing across the fields. Caleb often found her by the lake, the same place he'd found her that night, sitting still, watching the water. One evening she turned to him and said, "I used to hate this lake. Now I love it. It's where I was saved." He smiled. "Maybe that's what the world wanted you to see." She nodded, that even after pain, kindness still exists. Years later, when travelers passed through that part of Arizona, they often heard about the rancher who'd once saved an Apache girl by the lake. Together, they ran a ranch that became a haven for anyone lost, hungry, or broken.